This is our 7th annual DWI Awards program, and today it's a celebration. Actually, it's a celebration of the lives that have been saved by these law enforcement officers, some judicial people, prosecutors and such. So we're here to honor the men and women that have done this and to celebrate the lives they've saved.
Alcohol-related car crashes is such not only a tragedy, it's such a preventable occurrence, and the more that enforcement is increased, the hope is that people that do not have a substance problem will think better about driving after consuming alcohol, and that would allow us to go after those that have problems that can't make that conscious decision not to drive.
Thanks to all of you for coming today. I mentioned to somebody earlier that we were actually having a celebration today, a celebration of all of the lives saved that we don't know about. Every time a law enforcement officer goes out there and arrests a drunk, or maybe he deters someone from drinking too much, they decide to stay home or get a designated driver, we know that there's a life saved, and we can prove that through our statistics if you look at the billboards when you have a moment later that we prepared. So it's a celebration of life. We don't know what life it is. It could be my life, you, or one of your families, because we just don't know who's going to be hit and killed. So we're here today to welcome everybody. Special thanks to all of the award recipients. And it's my job right now and my pleasure to introduce Judge Douglas Saloom. He's been serving on the Lafayette City Court bench since 1995, and he was admitted to the bar in 1985. He is known as a fair but firm judge, very well respected, and he'll also be one of our award recipients later on today. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration recently presented Judge Douglas Saloom with a Public Service Award for his work in herding up and streamlining our DWI impaired driving statutes. He accepted that award in Chicago at the 33rd Annual Lifesaver Conference. He was among only 12 other people nationally that got the highest recognition for this award. In making the award to Judge Saloom, NHTSA cited the judge's tireless efforts to clarify, enhance Louisiana's impaired driving statute, and thereby improve the effectiveness of the state's criminal justice process. Judge Saloom was working as a chairman of a committee under the Louisiana Sentencing Commission, and he was also instrumental in getting it passed through the session, which is no easy task. I remember seeing Judge Saloom in front of the DWI task force. I remember seeing him in front of various committees, and he was able to get that passed through the session. There's an old saying that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I want to take a moment to mention another attendee in the audience that's also a recipient of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's Life-Saving Award, and that is Judge Collie Saloom Jr. sitting here in the front seat. Judge Saloom was the valedictorian of his high school class. He's a retired judge. He served 40 years as a Lafayette City judge, and he also served as an appellate judge for some time. He graduated from Tulane Law School, but he didn't begin practicing law because he went to North Africa to serve our country in the intelligence unit during World War II. The Saloom family has been active and very prominent in Lafayette for over 120 years. They're very engaged in education, civic, charitable, commercial, and religious activities. And I understand that retired Judge Saloom, Collie Saloom, and his wife Yvonne are celebrating 56 years of marriage. Congratulations on that. It might be hard to believe, but I was talking to Judge Douglas Saloom just a few minutes earlier, and he told me that back in the 60s, his father implemented a ticket accountability system way far ahead of his time. And he also was doing some substance abuse prevention stuff to help impaired drivers way before his time. And I want to congratulate you, sir, on your long marriage, your service to your community and to our country. Thank you very much. I got permission from Judge Douglas Saloom to take a little bit of his time for this, and he said he didn't mind at all. But to continue with Judge Douglas Saloom's introduction, His work with the Sentencing Commission, he was instrumental also in the creation of additional programs for DWI offenders in his jurisdiction. Among these were the Variable Substance Abuse Program, which provides extended education and treatment for repeat offenders, which are the hardest to reach. And he also has a program called Drive to Survive, where he trains oil field workers. Those of you familiar with Lafayette know that it's a hub city, a lot of oil field going on there. And he trains their supervisors in detecting and preventing fatigued drivers and impaired drivers. We're very fortunate not only to have Judge Douglas Saloom on the bench, but also for his work to curb impaired driving within his community and his leadership statewide to make our highway safer for all of us. Judge Douglas Saloom.
It's easy to say that there is no question that we love our chosen task. The question may be, with all of the frustrations that we run into, why do we do what we do? Well, the answer is easy. We want only what is best for our community. We've been sworn to uphold the same oath, to uphold the law and Constitution to the best of our ability. We share a belief that our duty goes far beyond the uniform we wear to work. Whether by birth or by choice, we share a love for our community. We share a passion for its safety, which includes our neighborhoods, our streets, and of course our schools. In a very true sense, we share the same obligation, and that is to protect and serve. And while our roles are different, we each strive to accurately apply the law and facts to the particular to each individual case, of course in the hopes that a just and correct outcome be achieved. In essence, that justice be served. Many of you will be recognized today for the outstanding work you have done in assuring that justice is served. And I'm grateful to stand before you as your guest speaker and feel privileged that others consider me equal to the task you have so nobly performed. The judiciary is often called the least understood branch of government. Our role as a judge in deciding guilt or innocence is often considered challenging, but to me, it's the easiest part of my job. As arduous as it may seem to some, there is no justice unless the rule of law is enforced without compromise, regardless of the potential recourse of an unpopular finding. I believe we share this philosophy together. I believe that too often the outcome, though, is determined by what is not discovered, what is not presented, and sometimes what is not properly weighed. I believe that it is within our grasp the power to assure that justice is always found, and that power lies in continued education, continued training, and of course, the proper application of what has been taught. It is safe to suggest that education alone, however, will not suffice without hands-on training, better equipment, and of course, updated facilities. I believe that our efforts, along with the continued support of NHTSA and the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission, we are on the right track. Over the past 5 years, fatalities are down almost 4%. Alcohol-related crashes are down almost 5%, but we still have work to do. During that same period of time, we've only made a slight progress in alcohol-related fatalities. And to make matters more difficult, distracted driving has joined alcohol as a major contributor to crashes and death. Now we have something else to train people how to avoid and or do properly, if that can be done. So what can we do? Easy. Like you, none of us can rest until all participants, whether they're judges, prosecutors, law enforcement, toxicologists, and yes, even criminal defense attorneys, are fully versed in all aspects of traffic safety, from deterrence to detection to preservation and presentation of evidence, to proper understanding and application of the evidence by the trier of fact, and of course, if convicted, to meaningful sentencing alternatives. Well, whether you like them or not, defense attorneys have become highly qualified and push law enforcement agencies to be their equal. And in turn, they are pushing the district attorneys, prosecutors, and judges. In that respect, I believe we're starting to deliver. I've had the privilege of speaking to prosecutors, judges, law enforcement officers all across this state. Traffic safety officers have never been more trained and retrained. With the help of Pete Adams and the Louisiana District Attorneys Association, Colonel LeBlanc and the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission, Chief Justice Johnson and the Louisiana Judicial College, never more than now have educational resources been readily available to judges, prosecutors, and law enforcement agencies. We must take advantage of that, and I believe we are. We have more ATAC officers, DREs, and law enforcement officers whose sole job is to detect and arrest alcohol and non-alcohol impaired drivers than we have ever had before. Today, several of Louisiana's finest agencies and officers and troopers are being recognized for the outstanding work they have done in the field. As to the agency that I'm most familiar with, Lafayette Police Department, I commend Chief Kraft, his ATAC officers and supervisors for the job they have done in this area. Recent years have brought Lafayette and the department extensive officer education. We have our first DRE who has been recognized as such in a trial. We have the addition of a mobile ATAC unit. We have the use of cameras, of course, that capture the standardized field sobriety test, and yes, even capture the horizontal gaze nystagmus of an alleged offender. And now we're using the blood draw warrants to combat the growing number of refusals. For the year and a half those warrants have been in place, we have watched refusals drop from over 30% to under 20%. And when you factor in the results that are obtained by the warrant, it drops to barely over 10%. Across Louisiana, we have district attorneys that have made impaired driving a priority. They have utilized experienced prosecutors whose sole and only purpose is to prosecute impaired driving cases. Today, we honor two of those outstanding examples of such prosecutors in Mr. Nessum and Ms. Malner. And we have Norma Broussard and others, but we need more. The LDA's traffic safety program for officers and prosecutors, which I've had the privilege of attending, is second to none. Shame on those that don't take advantage of the District Attorneys Association's educational resources. As for the judges, we're too making a positive move. There are hundreds of OWI courts in this nation with judges dedicated to the handling of impaired driving cases and versed in not only the impaired driving laws, but the appropriate sentencing measures to help people and to help prevent recidivism. In Louisiana, we have 9 such courts, but whether a DWI court or just a well-trained judge like me, we need more. Just this month, Colonel LeBlanc and the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission funded traffic safety training for 6 new judges. He will soon be working with the Louisiana Supreme Court to explore the possibility of bringing in Louisiana's first judicial liaison. The judicial liaison program is designed to educate judges on traffic safety measures. And we're hoping that the process will start shortly, and of course that within the coming months we will be able to find that judicial liaison and get them into practice. As for me, my desire for perfection in what I do will never wane. And in this area, I will refuse to be complacent. It is our responsibility to find meaningful and appropriate sentencing options. I don't believe that we wait for third and fourth offenders before we do something about the offender's problem. While many in the general public demand incarceration, those of us experienced in the subject understand that incarceration is a great punishment, but alone it serves very little towards the rehabilitation of a substance offender. Rehabilitation is the key to reducing recidivism, making sentencing by far and away the most difficult part of my job. I refuse to impose boilerplate sentencing and then pretend like I actually did something productive. Thus, I never stop in my efforts to find and update programs to help us in providing a meaningful opportunity for people to be given the chance of rehabilitation. Lafayette is fortunate to have many such service providers. We have worked together to provide what I consider the best opportunity for a defendant to address their issue as a first offender. Even though I often get credit, together with others equally as desiring of appropriate measures, we have put together many programs in the Lafayette area. Our ADEP-R program is designed as an extended drug and driving program for repeat offenders. The state law requires that a program be attended, and so too many people go to the same program that didn't work the first time. So in Lafayette, we doubled the program and changed it so that a repeat offender does not get the same program that they already slept through. Through Acadiana Safety Association, a long-time safety organization in Lafayette, actually started by my father. They run the Drive to Survive program that Colonel mentioned. I'd love to say I teach it, but they teach it. It was my push and supervision that helped them create it. Now they run it, and with the number of hours being performed by offshore workers, and not just the work they do, but also as a court, the inability to get them to come to court because they're offshore or other tasks is what is addressed by this program, including the distracted driving, which to me is, as the stats are showing, going to be as significant a problem as alcohol and other drugs. Our main substance program that we're using today is through our Acadiana, it was the AOP program and the SOAR program. Again, Louisiana law requires a substance program, but it doesn't say what it is. Well, as you can kind of figure, I said what it is. So I've included an assessment. Every offender, unless I waive the assessment, is assessed, because we want to know, even if a person is on a first offense, if a person tests above a 0.2, I refuse to think that there's not a problem. And if I'm going to believe that there's not a problem, then I want to see the assessment, and that's what we do. So that every offender that has a reading significant, regardless of what offense, we're going to try to obtain the appropriate treatment so that we can prevent the next offense. My most favorite program, unfortunately, we have it on hold right now because of the medical health care costs and the inability to get the proper insurance coverage. But our VSAP program, the Variable Substance Abuse Program, I will stack that program up against any drug court or DWI court in the state. Their results and their performance in numbers is outstanding. And it is my hope, and I've been in discussions with the Townsend Group who helped me put on that program to bring it back, because I think we need it. I think it's what's necessary for those that just can't get the message sitting in a group of 50 people and listening to somebody talk at the front of the podium. I just returned from the same traffic safety conference that Colonel LeBlanc sent new judges. And to my staff's chagrin, yeah, I'm coming up with some more ideas and assessments that they're not necessarily, they're happy about, but they know that I have to figure out what to do first, so that means they're going to have to crawl along with me. It is without question that we have many issues to address in the future, some of which we have yet to experience. But with our continued hard work, I know we'll be ready, but we have to act now. With the ever-increasing use of polydrugs and the nation's regrettable desire to legalize marijuana, we need to start considering implementing quantification limits. And if quantification is not the answer, as some suggest, then we must determine measures that are the levels of impairment, and of course, how to treat them. As for equipment, when I started to write this speech, my initial thought was, it's time for the Intoxilyzer 5000 to go. I don't know why we haven't moved to the 9000, and it has been a wonderful surprise to be told in the last few days that Louisiana does have the Intoxilyzer 9000. But rather than rush into implementing it, we're making sure it's done right and that the officers are properly trained. And that, of course, will lead to, hopefully, the district attorneys, prosecutors, and judges to be equally as trained. Because if those of you that are familiar with the Intoxilyzer 9000 know that it appears to be the state of the art, and it's going to be an exciting change from the Intoxilyzer 5000, and definitely for some of you officers that were around in the day, I forget the name of the machine, but you know what was it? Yeah, that machine. So I think we're moving forward, and I was tickled to hear that today. But we can't just rest with equipment. We took great strides last year in the rewrite of Title 1498, but there's more work to do. It frustrates me that our law requires mandatory testing only because of a fatality or an undefined serious bodily injury. In my mind, with the millions and millions of dollars of loss caused by car crashes, and the most frustrating part you officers on the street must have is to be asked by the other driver why that the person that hit them doesn't have to take any substance test. Well, why do we do that? There should be mandatory testing for all crashes where the driver is properly suspected of impairment. And I believe that should be the move sooner than later. It frustrates me that more judges do not further use blood draw warrants. These warrants are supported by both criminal code and prevailing case law, yet they're not used in every jurisdiction. Personally, I believe the blood draw warrants has made a greater impact in reducing impaired driving than roadblocks. Roadblocks are hampered by social media, while social media only enhances the public's awareness of the use of blood draw warrants, and I believe that a good thing. I'm pleased to hear that the Louisiana District Attorneys Association has taken active steps to assure that all impaired driving diversion programs meet the goals intended. It frustrates me, though, that pretrial diversion programs cannot be expunged for 5 years, yet a repeat offender is eligible for Article 894. I think we need to address that. It is disappointing to see the lack of appropriate and affordable substance abuse treatment available to prosecutors and judges. And I truly commend those prosecutors and judges that went out and found their own programs, because it is the most disappointing thing to order a person to do a program you absolutely know they must complete, to be told that they can't afford it. And when they can't afford it, we're all familiar with the Supreme Court rulings that say that incarceration is only an option when all other measures have been utilized. So that's why we go out and find these programs and hopefully able to keep the cost down enough to where they provide the appropriate treatment at an affordable cost. As we know, a proper sentence is one that combines an amount of punishment and rehabilitation appropriate for that offender. As I said earlier, punishment will not work without rehabilitation, and rehabilitation will not work without the appropriate punishment. We cannot prevent recidivism without appropriate screening, assessment, and imposition of post-sentencing supervision. My committee on the rewrite of the OWI law, and if you ask why I say OWI, it's because it's operating while impaired, not driving. You can not physically drive a vehicle without operating it, but you can definitely operate a vehicle without driving it. So when you hear me say OWI, that's what I mean, and I ask y'all to join me. But going back, why wait for a third offense? So our committee inserted for the first time in first and second offense that the court program, substance program, may include an assessment. It took us a while to delete the word shall, but when we looked at the fiscal impact of mandating to local courts and communities the cost of those programs, we were afraid shall would roadblock the other legislation that we were proposing. But we put it in there, and I'm encouraging judges and I'm encouraging prosecutors to require an assessment or at least a screening if the assessment is too expensive. I understand NHTSA now has started to approve certain measures in addition to those that have been in existence. We need to start using them. And there's many more areas of concern that we'll defer for another day. Finally, personally, it is really good to be recognized for work that others feel well done. I am very thankful to Colonel LeBlanc and his staff for deeming my efforts worthy of the same recognition that you officers on the street are receiving today. I humbly accept this recognition, knowing that it was not alone. My wife, Mayor Margaret, who endured watching TV alone as I drafted and read on the computer many nights. As Colonel LeBlanc said, my parents for being the apple tree that I fell near, my staff, my court services staff that Dad started, and of course, Colonel LeBlanc and my friends at the Louisiana Highway Safety Association, whose commitment to safety of Louisiana's drivers far exceeds anything I can add or detract. And finally, I keep getting all of the credit for Act 385, but it wasn't just me. I had a wonderful committee, some of which are present with us today, that were diverse in every area of the field. I see Mike back there as well. We together batted things around and made the decisions that went to the legislature. And I think we delivered. I really do. The only complaint that I have heard about our legislation was that we added a mandatory 10 days to a first offense. And I started to chuckle. And I said, then we accomplished our goal. And the response was, but you weren't supposed to increase the penalty. And I smiled and I said, we didn't. It's been in the law forever, just that nobody read it. When we did the rewrite, they started to read it and fortunately misinterpreted. Of course, we cannot forget Senator Perry, who's tenacious and tireless traffic safety. He's a tenacious and tireless traffic safety advocate. The word in the legislature was, don't mess with Senator Perry's bill. And it passed the legislature without a negative vote. See how often that happens. The bottom line is simple. Together we can make a difference. Together we are making a difference to make our communities safer. Together we can light the path with which others will follow. And if they don't follow, we'll drag them along kicking and screaming until they decide to walk alongside us. What is most important is that we continue our efforts to make our community and our state the safest of all. May God bless and keep you safe. Congratulations on your well-deserved honors. Thank you.
With respect to all the dignitaries present, I bring you greetings from NHTSA's new administrator, Dr. Rose Kind, and from my boss, Georgia Chikaris. She is the regional administrator for Region 6, for which Louisiana sits in there. But mostly I'm just glad to come because I like a good gun show. I'm so pleased and honored to be able to provide just a few words to all of the heroes and the sheroes in this arena. Please remember that what you do is important. It's not glamorous, it's not pretty, it's not respected in some cases, but it is absolutely necessary and it is vital. I'm the new program manager for the state of Louisiana. I'm in my 3rd month, so I'm going to ask you all to be kind with me. I'm on a learning curve. Everybody has been so warm and so welcoming, and so I'm trying to get that to that point where I become like an honorary Louisiana. Is it a Louisianian? He doesn't know. Over the next several years, I look forward to meeting with some new friends, making new friends, and strengthening relationships that have already been established with some old friends that I see. I thank you all for what you do, for what you have done, and for what you will do. Again, congratulations. It's well deserved, and you guys rock. Thank you.
The first award recipient is the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. The next one is the Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. The next one is the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. The next one is the Assumption Parish Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. The next recipient is the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. The next award recipient is the Plaquemine Parish Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. The next recipient is the Greenwood Police Department. Congratulations. The next award recipient is the Thibodaux Police Department. Congratulations. The next award recipient is the Bossier City Police Department. Congratulations. The next award recipient is the Lafayette Police Department. Congratulations. The next award recipient is the Causeway Police Department. Congratulations. Our next award recipient is the New Orleans Police Department. Congratulations. Our next award recipient is the Alexandria Police Department. Congratulations. Our next award recipient is the West Monroe Police Department. Congratulations. Our next award recipient is Troop L with the Louisiana State Police. Congratulations. And our last agency award is for Region 7, Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Congratulations. Okay, now we will get into the individual awards. Before we get into the officers portion, we'll recognize our other award nominees. That's Judge Douglas Saloom. Congratulations, Judge. Our next recipient is District Attorney H. Todd Neeson. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient is Assistant District Attorney Lee Ann Malner. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient is Sergeant Haley Burkett with the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient is Corporal Freddie Galicia with Calcasieu Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient goes to Sergeant David Sepra Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient goes to Deputy Brandon Gosser of Assumption Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient is Sergeant David Billings with the Rapides Sheriff's Office. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient goes to Officer Christopher Ferris with the Greenwood Police Department. Is it Lieutenant David McLean? We do have bars, right? Congratulations with the Plaquemine Sheriff Office. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient is Officer Jeremy Goday with the Thibodaux Police Department. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient is Corporal Jason Lowe with the Bossier City Police Department. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient is Officer Tyler Mitchum, the Lafayette Police Department. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient is Corporal Ken Camayo with the Baton Rouge Police Department. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient goes to Officer Scott Huff with the Causeway Police Department. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient goes to Officer John Walker with the New Orleans Police Department. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient goes to Corporal Jared King with the Alexandria Police Department. Congratulations. Our next individual award recipient goes to Sergeant C.J. Beck with the West Monroe Police Department. And this is his 7th year in a row. Congratulations. This next individual award recipient apparently carried Region 7 with the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, Sergeant Toby Miller. And I'm being told it was a tie with Wildlife and Fisheries with Sergeant Scott Billett of Region 2, who is the next award recipient. He can also come up here and accept his award. Congratulations, guys. Troop L, Louisiana State Police, like I mentioned earlier, has won this award 7 years in a row, and during those seven years, Troop L also had the highest ranking trooper that had the most number of DWIs, but this year, that individual was dethroned by this next individual, and the next individual award recipient for Louisiana State Police is Trooper First Class Jesse Almore with Troop G in Shreveport, Louisiana. Congratulations. Our final individual award recipient is somebody also up north, Officer Shane Prothrow with the Shreveport Police Department.
You know, it's interesting to listen to Judge's comments. Thank you for the work you've done and your father. Certainly an impact you've made not only in the Acadiana area, but across the state of Louisiana as we look to change the culture of the way we do things. To my fellow chiefs and our sheriffs and our district attorneys, thank you for the job you do. We talk about partnerships, and I get the opportunity to travel around the country, and they talk about Louisiana and the partnerships we have. You know, we say it all the time, and it's true. When someone calls for the police, they really don't care the color of our uniform or the shape of our badge. They just want to know that we're coming, that we're prepared, we're educated, and we know how to treat the public. And my belief fervently in Louisiana is that we truly know how to treat the public. I had a conversation one time. I was going to tell an older gentleman, I did not know his age before getting there, but I had some very tragic news, and I went into the emergency room of the hospital, and there sat a gentleman. He was 86 years old, and I had some very troubling news to tell him as he was in the emergency room waiting to see how his wife, his daughter, and his granddaughter were doing. All three of those were killed in a traffic crash in Livingston Parish. So I had to sit there and tell a man that, first of all, his wife had died. A few minutes later to come back to tell him his daughter had died, and then a few minutes later to tell him that his granddaughter had died, all at the hands of an individual that chose to drink a large amount of alcohol and then travel down our highway, and to watch the effect it had on him. And at the end of that, I mean, to have lost his wife, his daughter, and his granddaughter, and to see the different levels of emotion. And he said, I don't know how to handle this. All I can do is turn to my faith and ask God to help me get through this. It's difficult in Louisiana as we look back in my career over 34 years. I mean, at one point, 80% of our traffic fatalities were alcohol or drug related. For the first time during this time period, we've now dropped to below 50%. It's because of people like the judge, because of people like yourselves and our sheriffs and our chiefs and our district attorneys who said, you know, it's time to change the culture in Louisiana. You want to drink, you want to party, you want to have a good time, please do so. But seriously, let someone else get behind the wheel of a car. Call somebody to come get you. Because if not, these gentlemen that we've recognized today will certainly take care of business. And for the first time also, we've dropped below, when you look at the numbers that are dying on our highways, those numbers have dropped and continually dropped over the last 7.5 years. And I can only sit here and thank it's because of the efforts of the individuals, ordinary individuals, because that's really what we are. But what you chose to do is the reason we award you here today. You chose to become extraordinary. You chose to do that little bit extra. You chose that at the end of a shift, when there's an hour left and you sit there and you know, here's someone that probably fits the mold. I need to make this traffic stop. But there's a lot of times people go, God, I'm going home. I don't want the paperwork. You chose to take that extra moment. You chose that chance to go one more time through that area where the traffic fatalities are high, where we've been having problems. You chose to go there. You chose to make a difference. And that's what we're awarding here today. You know, I had the opportunity, we spent some time in New Orleans, an incredible relationship we have with the New Orleans Police Department, and we're down there working with them as they continue to rebuild that fine organization. And I had a chance to talk recently to a gentleman who was 86 years old that actually lives in the French Quarter. And he was talking about police officers. He was talking about his military time and how that relates to today. And what he looks for in an individual when he sees them walking down the street, he looks for something called command presence. And I truly believe those that we awarded here today and signified truly has that command presence. It's the way you walk, it's the way you talk, it's the way you present yourself, it's the way your vehicle looks, it's the way your equipment looks. It's how you present yourself for the day. And that command presence resonates with the public because you truly know how to talk to them, how to deal with them, and to really be a police officer. Reputation and that character is pretty close together. I appreciate the job that you do. I appreciate what you do for the state of Louisiana and our greatest assets, and that's our citizen. My final words to you, thank you for a job well done. Congratulations. Thank y'all.
Our fatality rate has gone down, so that's a good trend, and we've seen it going down since 2007. Back in 2007, the fatality rate was just under 1,000 people. Now we're at about 720. It bounces around a little bit. About 37% of those are alcohol related. And anytime you have an alcohol related crash or fatality, we know that that's preventable. If you simply don't drink, or if you do drink, it's the designated driver to drive. So that's what we're focusing on. We can do a great reduction in fatalities if we can dissuade people from driving while they're impaired.
Your reaction to winning this award?
Oh, I'm just honored. When I was elected, I always made this promise that I'd make people proud of my vote, and to be recognized by Louisiana Highway Safety for what I think is just doing my job is really a treasure. I'm very, very honored.
I think it's great. I mean, every year it gets a little bigger and bigger. We see people who are more and more motivated because they're being recognized as to what they're doing, and they see that the numbers are going down. So all of those things are good things.
If people have questions like more information, what should they do?
Well, they can go to the Highway Safety website.